In this video, I'm going to be talking about how my a7 IV overheated. Here's the story. So I've been using the a7 IV for about a month now, and it has been, until last night, a very solid and reliable camera. I've been using it for both photography and video, and overall, I was really satisfied with the results I was getting with the camera. There are a bunch of features that I love about this camera, and there was only really one thing that was holding this camera back for me until last night. And that one thing was the crop when you go into 4K, 50p, or 60p. When you're shooting in 1080, there's no crop when you go into high frame rates like 50 frames or 60 frames. But when you're shooting in 4K, 50 or 60p, there is an APS-C crop factor, which is 1.5 times. And that can be a little bit annoying depending on the types of shoots that you're doing. For me personally, I've been doing a lot more photo and video at my shoots. And when I'm taking a photo and then I want to get a video version of whatever I'm capturing, having that crop in when I'm shooting 4K 50p is a little bit annoying. And that was one inconvenience that I was willing to accept. And then last night I was on a video shoot where we were capturing a music performance, and it was a multi-camera shoot. I was shooting with my Sony FX6 and I had my Sony a7S III on a slider. And there was another camera operator using my Sony a7 IV with the Sony battery grip and the Sony 50mm f1.2. And after one of the takes, the camera operator came up to me afterwards and said, the camera overheated halfway through. And at that point, my jaw dropped because we weren't really pushing the camera to the extremes. So once I got over the initial shock of the camera overheating, I then started thinking, why did it overheat? Or how did it overheat? So let's talk through the scenario. The room that we were recording in did have the heater on, and although it wasn't incredibly hot in there, it was a little bit warmer than what the normal shooting conditions would be on a shoot like this. So that's one factor as to why the camera might have overheated. The footage was being recorded 4K 25p, so it wasn't even being recorded 4K 60p, which if the camera would overheat, I would expect it to overheat in that mode, but not 25p. The camera was also being used handheld. And that might be a reason as to why the camera ended up stopping halfway through the take. I have used this camera for some extended periods of recording time, but when I was using it then, I had it on a tripod, so it wasn't being handheld, and it was being shot in 1080 25p as well. So that's something to consider when using the a7 IV on professional paid shoots. Before purchasing the a7 IV, I had read online that there were some overheating issues, but I never really looked further into the issue. I always just concluded that, well, it must be overheating because they're pushing the camera too hard. They're using it in 4K, 50, 60p, and in really hot conditions. But from my personal experience from last night, the room, although it was a little warmer than usual, it wasn't really hot. And I live in Melbourne, Australia, and it can get really hot here. So having this camera overheat in a room that's just a little bit more warmer than room temperature is a little bit concerning. Future Nathan here, and I'm now re-recording this video because initially past Nathan had finished the original video and gave the conclusion that although this is a great camera, the a7 IV, it isn't necessarily a reliable camera for paid professional shoots. I then finished the video, uploaded it, and then took my daughter for a walk, and on my walk I had a little voice in my head say, did you check the auto temp power off function? And initially when I set up this camera, I did set that function to high as opposed to standard, which the camera comes shipped with. And I just thought, oh, when I get home, I'll just check the setting. I checked it and it was on standard. So I quickly changed it to high and then reprogrammed my custom 1, 2, and 3 settings on the video mode to have the high setting enabled and not have it on standard. So everything I said previously in this video is true. The camera did overheat, but there is a solution to stop it or help prevent it from overheating. So hopefully in the future, I won't have any overheating problems, and hopefully this video can be a cautionary tale to you if you are an a7 IV user and you're worried about overheating. Make sure that the auto temp setting is set to high and not standard like I had it on my shoot. And that's the video. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to this channel for more videos on video creation in the future.